And happy to welcome in our next guest. Dr. Taylor Sparks is principal at Rankin Elementary School in Tupelo, and we're going to talk about reading success among some of the students at Rankin Elementary. Dr. Sparks, we've talked so much about the reading gains that have been made in Mississippi, but that's like a collective attaboy or a congratulations to a really big group. When you can put a name and a face specifically with success, I think it takes on a little bit different meaning. And the Reading Horizons Elevate program, I think, does that for some students at Rankin Elementary in Tupelo. Tell us a little bit more about the process that your teachers and Reading Horizons have gone through together to help students within the Tupelo School District.
Yeah, good morning, Richard. And before I start, I just want to say I'm honored to represent and be the talking microphone for all the teachers at Rankin and all the students. And it would be easy to attribute success to a program or some quick fix. Earlier in the hour, you were talking about urgency and the urgency that's declared or needed for other problems. But reading, recognizing that reading was one of those issues has been a big lever for success at Rankin. One of the things we do, and this is not unique to Rankin, but like you said, it's nice to put a face to it, is that the boots on the ground every day are doing these things. We're fortunate enough, and I'm, again, honored enough to be able to speak on behalf of it. But we identify it early, just like a doctor would want you to do, identify any deficiencies you have early. And then we're going to prescribe the best, quote, medicine for that issue, and we're going to move forward with it and stick to the plan. If you get a sinus infection, you might can tell I'm a little stopped up, but if you get one and go to the doctor and you get antibiotics, you've got to finish the course of antibiotics and see it through. And so something we're big on at Rankin Elementary and in Tupelo Public Schools is consistency and seeing it through. And that has been, again, the lever for success in our school.
All right, so Reading Horizons Elevate is a specific program that you've used, and help me if I'm off here, but this is about targeting children who are 2 grade levels behind in reading. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So we give what's called diagnostics, again, another medical term, 3 times a year to identify students who are performing 2 grade levels behind. And just like with anything, you've got to catch it early. I used to teach middle school and high school, and to have had the opportunity to correct those earlier would have been a blessing. So this program helps that by offering tools and putting tools in their toolbox. It identifies around 40 plus sounds and decoding strategies for students so that we're not just guessing at a word. If you've ever tried to read with a toddler or something like that, a lot of times they'll look at the pictures and guess the word that's on the page. This actually gives you tools for those sounds and those blends and, different vowel combinations and really targeted is the right word.
How are you teaching reading? Because there are different philosophies on the way to teach reading. And we, people of a certain age, my age, I'm 45, remember hearing about phonics, right? I mean, it's about sounding it out and learning to spell and knowing that SH is shh, and then you can kind of work through a word from there. What is the method that you are using, especially with students who are significantly behind where they should be from a grade level, to teach them to learn to read?
Well, those things haven't changed, Richard. All the things that we grew up with, that was the science of reading, is what it's called, that theoretical approach. That if we focus on phonics and fluency, your rate of reading and how you're comprehending those things and building strong vocabulary and phonological awareness, those are those big domains of reading that we're addressing. And it does sound or feel old school, but it's the technical term would be the science of reading theory that we're practicing and addressing all those domains. And we know they're progressive. So we know you have to be able to decode before you can read a sentence. We know you have to be able to do those things. And then once you read the sentence, once you've learned to read, you have to be able to read to learn and comprehend. And just that approach is paying dividends.
There is a kind of a catch-all criticism of public education in particular in Mississippi. I bet you know where I'm going with this, and that is we are not teaching to learn. We are teaching to a test. We're teaching to pass a test, and kids are over-tested, and there's not just learning there. I won't say that all of that criticism is unfounded, but I do think some of it is. I'm curious what it looks like, though, when you're using tests to identify where students are in terms of process, and then you recognize that a kid is behind, and then that kid sees success. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people confuse testing with what we actually do is accountability. The state approaches it policy-wise, accountability. We have a responsibility. We're obligated to be held accountable for students' learning. And testing is a way to ensure that. But the term we use in education is assessment. So we're going to assess what the issue is, and then we're going to address it. And I think what people aren't saying is what goes on behind the scenes with that data. You know, it's one thing to be data rich and not do anything with it. But when we do have that data, we're using it to address issues. You know, the people involved in education are educational experts, and fortunately, they know how to use that data again to not only hold themselves accountable, or that lawmakers would use to hold people accountable and schools accountable, which again I think is a good thing, to hold us accountable for what we should be doing, but also it opens the conversation for how are we going to address these things.
What are the grade levels at Rankin Elementary?
3rd, 4th, and 5th grade.
All right, so let's say you've got a 5th grader who is 2 years behind. They're still reading at a 3rd grade level, and yet they have been able to advance grade to grade. Give me an example or something you've seen or one of your teachers has seen where you've got a 5th grader that was reading at a 3rd grade level or a 2nd grade level. You've used this Horizons Elevate program, and you've seen it work. When the light bulb goes off, give me the reaction from that student when all of a sudden they're reading at the level or close to the level that the rest of their classmates are.
It's honestly, it's profound, and it's something that's unique, I think, only to education. You know, I don't know. I would liken it probably to somebody who lifts weights, and then one day, all of a sudden, after struggling on this one certain weight, they're able to lift that weight heavier. And we do that by building in scaffolds. You'll hear that word in education a lot. Even though they may read at a 3rd grade level, they've still got to access 5th grade content. They've still got to be able to match their peers. So we're building in, pulling them out for 30 minutes a day, working on those decoding, filling their toolbox full of metaphorical tools. And once they start using those tools, that's because that increases the trajectory. You know, that success, that feeling, that light bulb for them, as good as it makes us feel, it makes them feel 20 times better.
I think most people know that Tupelo High School is, I guess, the biggest high school in the state of Mississippi. It's massive. When you end up with that number of kids in high school, that means you had really big elementary schools as well. Tupelo has addressed kind of the enrollment issue with neighborhood elementary schools. How has that worked?
I think it's worked great. The fortunate thing about Tupelo is we are a close cohort of administrators, and we're a close community. And the Tupelo community, I'm a product of Tupelo schools. I went away to college and came back, and that's unique. You know, for maybe my generation to do that. But the neighborhood school model was one I was raised in. You know. And then we have this kind of funnel where they all, in 6th grade, they get together. You know, we call it the puzzle piece. Yeah. They're the puzzle piece that links, you know, middle school to those lower elementary grades. And while, yeah, we do each have our own unique personas and each, you know, have different qualities, the good thing is I'm close with the other. There's 4 3 through 5 schools, and we're all close. We're all talking about things that are going on. That we're trying to do. And that again goes back to accountability. That's how you keep those pieces moving in the right direction.
Rankin Elementary, a success story in Tupelo, a success story in Mississippi, and perhaps a model for success nationally with the Reading Horizons Elevate program. Dr. Taylor Sparks, my guest. Really appreciate your time this morning. Congratulations, not just to you, but to the teachers and to the students who are seeing this success play out. Keep up the great work. Good to visit with you this morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Richard. It doesn't happen without those teachers and students.
Yeah, we may call it the Mississippi Miracle, but that does not shine a bright enough light on how hard the work has been and how long it's been going on. We'll talk soon. Dr. Taylor Sparks, principal at Rankin Elementary in Tupelo. Really good stuff happening there. Congratulations on that. We are going to attempt to wrap up this edition of Mornings with Richard Cross when we come back with you April 29th, Wednesday morning. Thanks for being with us.